How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm great. How
You
are
don't
you?
look like Terry. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Danica.
Well, as we know, I'm so excited because, for the listeners, last week we got to kind of meet Melissa, who is somebody that's a student of mine, but up in Seattle. And so I'm so excited because Danica is a student who is local to us, local to DFW, and she is incredibly gifted medium and very, very in touch with the guides and very, very developing her relationship with trust because of her gifts are so high. Her trust is what we've always been just working with. It's never been about training you to be a better psychic or be a better medium. That you came with out wherever you came from, you came with that. But I'm excited for them to get to meet you today. And I can't wait to kind of quiz you about spirit, about the things that sort of brought you to this and how that kind of went for you. How's that sound?
It's great. Let's do it.
Hey. Okay, so the first thing I kind of would love, because we'll just get to the meat and potatoes of what people really are interested in, usually when it comes to metaphysics. The whole I can talk to dead people. Obviously, it's kind of like everyone's immediately rolling their eyes, or they're immediately skeptical, or there's the off person who's just like, "We'll prove it."
hmm
But what is your relationship with that, and when did that first start happening to you?
Well, I was skeptical at first too, just like anybody else. It started happening for me after my daughter passed away in December of 2023. It took about 6 or 7 months till I was introduced to my first psychic medium. And after that, I thought, holy, can I say
Yeah,
holy shit?
of course,
Holy
yes.
shit. Like there is no way that she could have known any of this stuff. Like I didn't tell anybody any of this stuff. And she was using specific words that I use in my head. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, maybe she's just reading my mind. But then my daughter's personality came through.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no way she could know that. Like, that's something that it's not on Google, it's not on anywhere. Like, you
Yep.
can't find that shit out anywhere. So then I started reading books and asking for signs,
Mhm.
and they were delivered to me like that. And I was like, okay, there's something to this.
What was that moment when you were, because we all have that moment where we leave the psychic medium and we get in our car and we have to make that decision of, do I believe any of that or not? Obviously, the tears are there, like your body wants to believe, but how did you settle that in your mind?
It was almost just like your mind tries to talk you out of it. I mean, you go around in circles like,
Mhm.
okay, this is full of shit. Like it's just coincidence. That just happened to be there. Whatever. Like all these things. Like there's no way this is real. It's just coincidence. Things just happened. And then it's almost like just a knowing in your chest. For me that's how it is. It's like a calmness. It's like you turn that off and you just know.
Mm.
So
Oh my
it
God.
is like your head tries to talk you out of it though.
And that's hard. Because there is a surrender. Because realistically speaking, especially at that point in time for you, you really only have the words of the other person to go on and that weird feeling in your chest, but you are not yet in touch with your own sensibility about it. Although
No.
they're saying you had high evidence of you brushed against the veil when you were younger. So maybe this is your conscious representation of mediumship and spirit, but they're kind of calling back to a lot younger.
hmm
And sort of, I feel almost you would have been the type to have had a lot of people you spoke with when you were little that everyone would just be like, oh, she's got friends.
Yeah, now that you say that, I actually do remember, and it goes back to the whole scary kid thing of something in your closet,
Mm-hmm.
but there was
Yeah.
something in
Well,
my closet.
now after training for a while, we know that time isn't really real. So maybe let's touch base on that and figure what we can find in that closet. What kind of energy was there? To what degree it was nefarious? I'm curious what you pick up on.
I feel like as a child I was scared, but I don't feel like
Scary.
it wasn't scary. No, it feels like it was like almost like just letting me know it was there. Like, yeah.
What I feel is, and I love that you're picking up on that because I also sensed this energy was just around, and energy is always everywhere. And there is an awareness that you had the shine that is required to do what we do. So then the reason that they put themselves in a space, because I don't feel any nefarious energy at all, but you have to choose to engage with them. So if they put themselves in a closet, you really have to step towards that experience to have it. And
Mhm.
you were like, "I know you're there, but I'm not choosing that." And off you went. And I
Yes.
think that's sort of that, is it ideal for some of these energies to really be making themselves known to us? Not really, but also I can imagine how boring it is for them and how interesting it would be to be like, "Oh, she's got the thing that, that's cool." I'm curious about once you sort of started to read about the other side, did you ever step because you and I met at a very different place in time where you were kind of working through very material life things. So you weren't really coming to me being like, "I have these gifts and I'd love to understand them." Once you started to recognize maybe you were in the grouping that fascinated you so much, what was that like? What did you feel about that?
Honestly, it felt like anybody could do this, really. Like, all you have to do is trust in it.
Mhm.
It did. It made me feel like I do believe there are some people that are just born gifted, but I do know, in fact, I know a girl that wasn't born gifted, and anybody can learn this. It just
Mhm.
takes dedication and time to work on it, to build the relationship.
Well, let's put it this way. This is the way I would say that phrasing. To give a honest, I mean, because we recognize there will be people who will meditate for 80,000 hours and not be able to do what you do. And so we recognize that it's essentially like gathering keys. If you wanna go into religion, right? It's like when he went and gathered the keys for us, but we you gather certain keys in spirit. Some of them are high loss. Some of them are high abuse. Some of them are bloodline related, and if that's you, kudos, and I wish I was. But it oftentimes the payment we pay into certain gifts are really our ability to travel into a realm where we come back with keys and we don't realize that's why we went there, or that's what the benefit we got. And so high levels of grief, high levels of pain, even sometimes being at the right place at the right time when the veil is really thin will unlock forever into your future forever an ability that if you hadn't been there at that time when the veil thinned that way, because it creates a knowingness around us. Suddenly we know that the veil can be thin. If you know that the veil can be thin, then maybe you can believe in yourself enough to press yourself against it. But how many people don't believe there's a veil, wouldn't even know how to take their energy and press against it? Because what does that even mean? And
Mhm.
so on and so forth. And so I love what you're saying because you're kind of saying if you can get there by sheer desire, that would be the brute force version of pushing towards the veil. But
Yeah.
there's an elegance to the ways that you can do it through pain. There's an elegance through the abuse. There's an elegance about it. Near death experiences. Oh my gosh. Talk about the fastest way to accidentally become wildly gifted. Not that I
Yes.
recommend it,
No.
but there was a movie about this a couple of years ago. It was called Flatliners. And you
Never
just
heard
know
of
for a
them.
fact people are doing that. It's where this group of people, they were acting like they were students, but really I'm sure you can fashion that with scientists. Right? But they were bringing each other to flatline and then reviving each other because they were trying to map out the other side. And it's not the wrong idea. I mean, it is the right idea, but the
Yeah.
problem is you don't have if you haven't done the work to attune your spirit to you, you're never gonna come back alone. It's kinda like the Gateway tapes or the those now it's kinda coming out, the Gifted and Talented program seems to have been up to some shit. Talking have you heard about this?
No, I would like to hear about this
Oh
though.
my
No.
god. A sidebar. This is a podcast. This is how Terry and I we always go in with an agenda, it never works. Oh my god. Okay, so a bunch of these people, basically in the '70s, who would have been in elementary and middle school around the '80s, and of course it happened to us too, but that age range, maybe even before it, and basically you got these, like they were pink, those little pink shots, and I remember them. But you took them, and some of people were told to swallow it, and some people were told to spit it out. Who knows why?
Mhm.
Then we put headphones on, and there were all those, like, weird beeps, and we were told to, like, do some things. That's all I remember of it, but I didn't get into Gifted and Talented. The people that did, they all report being basically tested, psychically. So, what's on the other side of the card? What feeling do you get off this object? But the worst part is, this is what I think is the highest crime. Now they're all adults, and they're all sharing the same dreams. And what I think happened is that there was something done in a hypnosis state or whatever that basically captured their subconscious so that they burn all their energy in the dreamscape and it goes somewhere because they're all talking about mall world. They're all talking about this like endless bathroom. Basically, they're all sharing a dream and they've mapped it together. They're like, "Oh, yeah, behind the mall, behind the movie theater, if you take a right, then there's this area where all the seats are always overflowing, and then people can get like, they wake up stressed and exhausted." Yeah, and so now it's kind of like either this is a huge internet sensation that everyone's bullshitting on, or they're all literally dreaming the same dreams, and it seems to be stemming from this. So then I have always felt very strange about the telepathy tapes. In the work I do, everybody keeps telling me to listen to them, watch it, and I've always felt resistant.
I felt that's funny you say that because I have been told that too, and
Dude,
I've started it and I just felt this resistance to it.
I
That's
believe,
interesting.
ironically, I think there is something because it's everyone's so there's a place called Tavistock, I can't remember it, but it's basically a cultural machine, and it pumps out all the words that we start using. So it pumps out the word like, I mean, what's I'm trying to I'm see if they'll give me one, like left-wing pundit. Like that was thought out. Like those words were picked because they were gonna situate in our subconscious a certain way, and so it's an institute. It's pretty
Mhm.
so anybody who has ties to that, you pretty much always know, like, you got from the head because it's organized control of the masses. Anyways, the telepathy tapes, they immediately make me think the gateway tapes. The gateway tapes are from the CIA, blah, 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 but they basically force you to dimension travel
Mhm.
because it's a gateway program. Then there's tapes that now are all over Twitter. I don't know how if they wound it or not Twitter, TikTok. So now you
Mhm.
can literally, as me, can go and listen to all of them with no understanding of what that means, right? So that leads us back to like why you wouldn't cross over and not know because you and I have sat and we've worked with our guides. We have some idea of who we are independently. If things whisper to us, it can't, we aren't so susceptible at not knowing it's us or not us.
Mhm.
If you're just like a teenager who already has 8,000 versions of themselves trying to cement in, and you're on TikTok and you're listening to the gateway tapes because you think they're going to make you psychic, and really it's forcing your energy to travel to like splice your energy up, that's gonna be an issue. Like, that's one of the reasons why I don't know if that's the streamline they're wanting, but it feels like it is. It's like they're wanting the A plus B equals C. And so the telepathy tapes open you up to the understanding that there is. So it's almost like a meat tenderizer. It's like, no,
Mhm.
there can be things other than you. Let's accept that all in our brain. Let's get us ready to deal with that. And then the next step would be, well, let's go pursue what does that mean? And then suddenly outside of nowhere, there's the gateway tapes that are from the 80s, but now they're available all of a sudden. I just think that's weird, and I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
So, you know, with you feeling and knowing your guide, with me feeling and knowing my guides, if we start to have weird thoughts, I can immediately go there. It's like, okay, I don't know if this is my thought, but can you tell me if it is? Because I've worked with you. I know you intimately because you came with me from birth, which is the
Mhm.
nature of the guides. That's why I and Terry, we train only through the guides. I know there's powers elsewhere. I know there's ways to power up elsewhere. I just don't feel comfortable. 'Cause I don't know, I'm not trying to get caught up here. In that sense, though, with, you've now had several experiences where you've basically been able to read for another energy. What was that like? Was that weird?
At first, honestly, my first experience, I didn't know if I was going crazy or if it was true or whatever. Like, I was just shown certain images, like very specific jewelry and words, and I, it, it was inexplainable. And I wasn't going to say anything, but the lady had on the specific jewelry that I was shown. And I was like, okay, this is legit. So I did say something. And
And how did you start that? I'm sure because you just feel crazy. You're just like, "How do I
I
even do?"
did. I did because it was her husband that had just passed away that showed me this ring that she always wore. He told me some intimate things about her that I was scared to death to say anything.
Say,
And I finally kept getting the hits of just say it, just say it, just say it. So I asked her, I said, "Is it okay if I share something with you? I don't mean to offend you. Like, I just really feel that I need to share this with you. And she said yes. And so I shared it with her, and she was so in awe and thankful and grateful. And I was so grateful to be able to share that with somebody and bring them those feelings of peace. And
Mhm.
I mean, because I remember the feeling that I had after my first experience, just the peace that was over me.
Mm.
So that's always been my goal, and I've had several experiences to be able to give that to somebody that I love, friends, family, neighbors, and it's
Yes. Do you ever feel how do you feel? Because I for people who don't understand this experience, and again, you have a different experience than I do, than any other practitioner would, as far as how these spirits reach us, how they discuss things with us. So the question would be, how would you describe interacting with an energy as because it's kinda like, well, if somebody didn't know what you were doing,
Mhm.
how would you describe the process of speaking with them?
Well, I would tell them it's kind of like a game of charades.
Yes,
For me, the
that's
way
so
that I
true.
receive is, pictures of either actual scenes or things or words, or I hear a little bit. And so I don't necessarily know exactly what that means. Like, I'll just tell you, like, this very specific color of blue that this grandma kept showing me. I don't know why. I just, I finally found the blue and I showed it to my friend, and she was like, "Oh my God, that is like she had it everywhere in her house. She had it like she would wear it all the time. She would,
Yes.
just very, you never know why you're seeing something or what it means to the person that you're sitting with.
Mhm,
So it's been amazing on just saying whatever I see, even
mhm.
though I don't know the meaning behind it. But then it's almost like a kind of like a game that me and the person that I'm sitting with can put together what it means, or because then, they'll show me more, and I just deliver it the best way that I can,
Yes.
because energies are, even in our PD life, you resonate with some and you don't with others.
Mhm.
And so I will say there has been some times where I didn't resonate as well with the energy. And so you do the best you can to play the game of charade.
Yes.
And but I do feel like that there are different mediums and different, people that resonate with different energies, and so it's always going to be a different experience.
Mhm. Well, and somebody who does not so everything is a frequency, which means it's a vibration. And somebody who doesn't take that vibration through theirs to be able to channel what is necessary, they will say things like this. Well, how do you know it's not a demon? How do you know the Bible says it has to be a demon? And they will play these charlatan roles. So to
Mhm.
you, I ask, how would you respond to that?
Well, I don't work with anything other than of the light. So I know when it's not of the light because I can feel it.
Exactly. And that is the reason why those that say that will never take our word for it. Because we have to pull their harmonic into ours to even converse. And just like you can look at somebody and be like, I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. It's like that on steroids when it's energy because you can't hide it. People can dress themselves up and look beautiful. And I'm going to speak on somebody because I just recently felt like, okay, I don't know why, but I'm coming for everybody. And it feels like it's time to. Have you watched Teal Swan?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And so I have had her be recommended to me 100,000 times. I even
Mhm.
had a close friend of mine who was like really about her. So I tried to get in a couple times. I liked some of the things that she said, but I kept getting this very interesting vibe. But it just so happened that the clip I saw of her was actually deep of deep empathy because she had been stalked or like something bad had happened. So it really kind of it made me probably put down some guards I should have. So then they were making me evaluate her again, and the reality is, dude, I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't believe that she is what she says. It's something in the energy. When I try to pass her thought forms through my harmonic, it feels fraudulent,
That is very
but
interesting.
ancient. So very good at the craft, but it's not of the light.
It's not pure.
No, and the vessel does have a sense about her, I think, that is a little bit, but it's not, but there is a, if there is a humanity there, it's much weaker than what she's representing, and the strength is coming from somewhere else. And the other person I feel that way, unfortunately, is Bashar.
Mhm.
Actually, I think he's in the process of falling. So I think it started very, very clean, and then you lose yourself. And so that's sort of that thing where, they're kind of talking about we really always must understand that our gifts mark us as targets to a degree, only so much as you have footholds within you. My primary foothold would probably be pride or a sense of revenge. Like I could definitely see myself trying to get something back if someone hurts like someone I love. So like mine are very, very known to me. So I know where they're going to whisper if they whisper. Where do you
Mhm.
think they would whisper with you if you're in the middle of a gift and suddenly you're like, "Why are you trying to talk to me like I'm great?" Or like whatever it could be. How do you guard against that?
Mm. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I feel like I'm gonna have to think about that one, but I do feel like I always question people's intentions, and so it's recognizing my intuition and listening to it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. We have a song that is always singing, and it will go into a darker chord when we're not well, but it's still our song. It's like taking the Harry Potter theme song, and you could make it orchestral, and you could make it jazzy, but it's still the same theme song.
Mhm.
That's our song. And you know that someone is up trying to fuck with you when they start trying to change the song. Because the guides will never do that. They try to amplify it, or they say, "Hey, this is a real sad version. Like we gotta get you what is this serving you well? Like, do you like this song? Because we've seen a better version of it." They're always wanting you to remain you, just more of you in a way that you prefer to be.
Yes.
Darkness is kind of like, yeah, but like, what if you started a fight? Yeah, but like, you don't need them. You don't need friends. And there's always this like itch to change your song. And so long as you know what yours is, which is really grounding, right? That's the root chakra. That's the sacral. It's like, how do we become immovable within our gift? And it's you just got to know your song, man. And if you feel that the song is changing, you just double check. And you're like, maybe it's changing because of me. Maybe I need to change. Maybe this is for me. But we notice it's a frequency thing. It's
Yes.
almost like someone's playing an extra song in your note, and you're like, how do I know this is?
Yeah. It's almost like you recognize that and then you need to like pull back and like reset, like ground yourself.
The other
Yeah.
thing that would be worth mentioning is that you and I have both experienced high exposure to darker temperaments.
Mhm.
And so I always do think that there is an aspect to training that just comes from the 3D that takes place that probably hones our gifts, no doubt. But also, we've been around high evil.
Mhm.
Like we know its face. And I don't think that our guides would really let us dance with this if we hadn't already mastered certain knowingnesses. Otherwise, we'd be like a lamb to the slaughter. And our guides would
Yes.
never do that to us.
Yes.
Even though we might still represent that in our appearance or in our temperament. Oh, yeah, like I do like to be happy. I like to be goofy. I goof around. You're extra, extra sweet. Like there's nothing about our energy that really, we don't need to go project our strength. And yet, in a lot of ways, because of what we've seen and the gifts that we have access to, we are the people that those will come and find us. That lady, she didn't come find you, her guides did.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like there's reasons, and that is one of the biggest things I could say also is the more we are in touch with our random whimsies, we always get brought to the people we're supposed to go to. So if you get a random whimsy to go to the movie theater and you haven't been in 8 years, I would just immediately assume there's a reason I have to go there.
Yes, I cannot tell you how many experiences I have with that. It is magical. It
Yeah.
seriously is magical. If you just listen and don't try to talk yourself out of it like I don't need to go there. Like listen to it and go. And you
Mhm.
will have some of the most magical experiences like some of the people that I've met. It was like I don't know how else to like explain it other than magical. Like
Well, it's also something that you and I have that, and I know, I mean, I have some students that are very similar to us, but in that sense of, I feel we almost get sometimes put down for the like wide eyed, bushy tailed vibe that we represent with the world. And I love it, but not everyone loves that about us. I don't know what it is.
No, no, it's almost like they try to snuff it out.
Yeah, it's like, why are you in such a good mood? And it's like, bitch, why aren't you?
Yeah.
But that's not really regardless though, if there was anybody who wanted to listening to this thinking, what could I do to enhance my intuition? I promise you this is it, not meditating 5 hours a day. It's literally like become more whimsical.
Yes.
Allow more random whimsy into your energy because you'll be led by your own guides through training. You don't gotta pay
Mhm.
anybody, you don't do anything because they train you in a non-directional way. And I think you've noticed this as well, I'm sure. And this is how they do it. They understand that time isn't real. Or they understand time in a different way. Let's put it that way. Our experience of it is very, very real, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But say you randomly like today, I don't know why, but I am determined that I will be watching V for Vendetta. It's November 5th. I think it's funny, but also my first call forgot and Terry forgot. And so I kept hearing the 5th, remember the 5th of November, and just that it was funny that like no one remembered. And then I kept thinking, I gotta watch that movie. So my presumption is I will be in class with my guides during that for some reason because I'm supposed to watch it. I even texted
Mhm.
my boyfriend. I was like, we're watching this today. And so no matter if it's today or not, but the fact is like, I don't know why that's happening. I don't really
Mhm.
care. I like that movie. I've already seen it. So something is being revisited.
Yes.
They're kind of talking about also with your energy. I have like a dog with my nose down, like I gotta go
Mhm.
sniff it out. But you sort of you get a lot of your energy and information in daydreams.
Yes.
And so they're for me, I need that physical story so they can pump information as I watch something. And it's almost they're saying we get taught almost entirely the opposite way, which is you will learn the most and be in class the most when you're daydreaming,
Mhm.
and so how funny. Just I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true, and so I've had to learn to almost remove myself to give myself space to daydream
Mhm.
versus just, go, 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 staying busy, staying busy.
I was gonna say if the negative wanted to prevent you from learning, they would keep you very busy.
Yes, and they do, they try to, and then it's a feeling of, like, shame and guilt that I'm not doing anything.
Right. And now you're just caught in the sauce because like how the
Yes.
fuck you get out of that? I
Yeah.
completely understand that. Well, and it gets in your storyline, especially when you've always been gifted, but when you were sort of dormant, you're raising kids, you're moving through life. Where did you see it kind of come out with them? Either you to them or them to you?
And I think a lot of mothers have that motherly, but just knowing what my kids needed at each moment,
Mhm.
like, even I can think of an instance with my youngest that she needed something and I just knew. I just knew what she needed. And I didn't even honestly recognize it that I did that or that I knew that
Um,
until my partner pointed it out and I went and it was almost like, "How did you know that?" And I was like, "I just knew."
mhm.
So,
I don't know why I'm thinking to mention this, but as we already know, if you think it, you say it. So there was a woman who I was watching her stuff, and I really admire her, Eloquent Eve on TikTok, and but she was talking about how she had flashed kind of into a past memory, and she'd flashed to this past memory where she was a Viking energy, a masculine one, and there was a woman in the village or in the area around her where basically, Lisa, the woman, but in this form of a male, knew that this woman was in love with him and kept pushing her off and kept promising that next time he comes around, he would wed her. And basically, by the end of it all, she wound up an old maid and he wound up dying of like a lung situation because he was on these ships all the time and they would burn fires in the hull. So just a lot of
mhm,
soot. So basically, and it became known to her that that woman was now her daughter. And she has felt from the moment that kid was born that all she could do was disappoint her child. Like, and that child has always been very challenging to raise and has held every little thing she did wrong against her. And I just was sitting with that emotion in that thought form the other day thinking like, that's so unfair. Like, you would feel it in your energy that your kid was never gonna be satisfied with you, but
Mhm.
until that flash of that, how could you know why? And
Yes.
how is that fair? And they're kinda just saying, "Who said anything was fair?" Also, reality isn't built in a linear fashion. That really just happened, so it's kinda still all active
So
energy,
it's
like
still there. Yeah.
yeah, like, it's not really is it super impactful? Like, you could probably heal this is what they're talking to me right now. They're saying, technically speaking, you could heal that relationship in that timeline by really overdeveloping your support of her in this time, but at what point does any of it matter?
Ah,
Other than just you love the soul and you want them to feel that you're there for them.
yes.
Well, we would have failed that at some point. We gotta learn how to be there for people. So, we're not I think that's all we're ever trying to do.
Yes, and it's funny how it's so simple, yet we try to make it so complicated.
And it's like it's simple, but it's existential.
We get in our own ways.
And well, but it's like it's simple, but it's grave. Because
Mhm.
if you don't get it right, a lot of things go wrong. So then when
Yes.
someone looks at us, people like what we do, and all of these things are going wrong, and then you just say, "But you have to believe in yourself," they're immediately checking out. They're immediately going to the person who's gonna be like, "Here's 8 runes and 4 perfumes, and then you're gonna be great." And there's no way for us to sit here because we're not getting a different message.
Mhm.
It's like, your entire issue is you don't trust yourself.
Yes.
And and I don't see you trying to start. So then you can start to try and pad them from their own decisions, but almost every time at the core, it's something ridiculously easy,
Mhm. I
except it's not easy.
1000% agree with that.
I wanted to touch base, last class, we had a conversation a little bit around, origin points, and we'll talk about the threads in actual class. But right now, I wanted to touch back on that a little bit, and we had been talking about origin points, and we had been talking sort of about where we found your original particle. And I wanted you to kinda go back there with me, and I'll go back to where I found me. And I think it would be very interesting to sort of feel out more about what you wanted to do, because we found ourselves in the area of, pure potential,
Mhm.
and we both sensed a loneliness with ourself.
Mhm.
And we had not yet taken a form in any real sense, which is why we are, to some degree, a very ancient energy. What was it that you thought you would probably do with your potential as we sat there and as we sort of felt, what would it be if we took form and we took more responsibility to this garden, is what I just heard.
For me, it was almost like this rush of, like, a sense of adventure.
Mhm.
That's that's the first feeling that I felt like I wanted to get out of there and just go on an adventure, like, nonstop.
Mhm. And where do you think what kind of adventures, if you thought about an element, where do you think you would see a lot of fiery energy around you? Would you go volcanic? What adventures would you
No, it
do with
was,
the
like,
water?
green.
It was very
Greenery. Uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah.
When you were within that green spaces, as you were exploring it, what emotions were you starting to feel as you collected more data about the area that you were so enchanted with?
It was pure joy, like bliss, like pure joy and bliss and excitement.
And what happened when you started to notice that things were changing?
It was like a heightened energy.
Mhm. My intuition says that we started to take on the more dragon style form when something started to come harm what we thought we wanted to protect, because we had not intended on form. And then there was a guardianship that took place. And that was where the fall into the material for us. But it was noble, and it was because what I've been trying to sort of connect us with and connect me with is understanding the purpose of it all. Because there are energies and souls that will not take their beginnings back to where we do. And so we have to understand what we're doing here now, because we were there then. So we have to understand that our rules about soul development might be a little bit different from the perspective of I'm getting permissions. I have to say this very specific way. What if there was a guardianship that existed before even the understanding of real incarnation would have been present? So we do have a responsibility in the incarnation process because we did fall into it. We have developed karma. We do have energetic pathways we have to fulfill. But there is also a part of our energy that predates that, which makes it very confusing for us because it's that feeling that we've all felt when you look around and we're like, none of this matters. Why are we doing this? And then you have to snap back into it because it does matter. It's your life.
Mhm.
One of the things that is coming back online is the phrasing they're saying is the remembrance for certain souls that have a job to do. And like I've said to you privately, you and me, we might have very different jobs, but for our origin to be where it was and for us to have met again in this way is never nothing. It just can't be. It won't be. It isn't. They just said, they say, spit it out. It isn't. And so the reason I was trying to bring in the energy of what it was we were attempting to protect is because that is how we will find those that we serve in this lifetime. Because our song doesn't change. That adventure that you saw, that's still in your energy and you feel it. And that despair, that joy is so hard to find now. That's a despair that goes outside of life isn't what I want it to be. It's a memory. It's a depth of a memory of like, why has it not been like this in so long? Why can't I touch this again? Why are these bodies so tight? Like, what are we doing here? And then we have to remember to add peace to that despair. We have to remember what was so important that made us fall down into matter. What made us take on form? We must have seen something happening to the spaces and the energies that we loved enough to take on such a defensive form. Because one of the first elemental energies were dragon energies, plasma dragons. So I ask again, with you in connection to the old you, to the ancient you, what was it that made you fall into matter?
A lot of it feels like protection.
For me, it feels like that I saw a darkening of the land. And for you, I feel almost that you created a stronghold. I feel that you had energy around creating a space and protecting it. I think that's why I always see the kids hiding underneath you
Mhm.
because you were not out there going to chase down the dark. I feel like I went into full investigation mode. And I was
Mhm.
like, I went with beakers and test labs and I needed to go figure out what was doing this to the land. And you were saying, I'll protect the ones that are here.
Yep, I've always felt that with my kids too, as I create a space that brings a higher energy for safety too,
And
and
it's
that is
like
joy.
putting a hand. They show me always oh, this is a great example. Thank you. Did you ever watch the Phoenix movie, with the Wolverine, the first version with the redhead chick?
Probably, but I don't remember it. It's not like
There's a
there.
scene where she's freaking out. Professor X is trying to protect her, but essentially anybody who was getting close was getting literally departicleized.
Mhm.
They were trying to calm her down, but her psychic powers are too much. But what I see is you creating a stronghold of light that for darkness, they would become departicleized as they tried to enter. So I hear stronghold as a frequency, and you couldn't have done that in that plasmatic form. We wouldn't have had enough dominion here.
Mm.
So also please understand, thank you. They said, also know that there are still energies that are doing this for us that just didn't choose to come into matter. No judgment. But just like we just sat up there and there's we couldn't keep watching. But just so that we know now, you and me, as we speak, there are energies who are still working on our behalf. They just are not choosing to come into matter. Maybe that's not on their path. Maybe they do more work there. And maybe, thank you. Maybe we were a little bit headstrong.
Actually, yeah.
I feel that it isn't noble that we did this. It's just on brand.
Uh-huh.
So I love that. So there's no judgment that they didn't, because ultimately we knew it was going to be all right, but we were almost bored. It's almost that like, "Oh my god, this darkness just hit this land that we care about so much, and, like, I'm really bored."
It's
I'm
a
gonna say
restlessness.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
we can go do really good work, and they're calling for us to. I volunteer as tribute, and I still don't feel regret in our energy. I definitely don't think we knew what we were gonna deal with, even in the incarnation of the dragon energy, because as soon as we took on that form, we were coveted. So these energies that we were seeking to protect, even through, the moment you come down into matter, the perversions of the material world start to work. So, we had things that we had to deal with that in other words, imagine we thought we were all knowing in some sense. And then we couldn't have anticipated certain anomalies, is what they just said.
Mm,
So it isn't a mad dash trying to get back into, source so much for us. I think it's really, we came with a purpose, and that's why we're still purposing,
mhm,
because I don't feel that we're here because we're stuck, but I feel that there are those that are. And I feel that that's why we're here. Period, period, period. And when I say stuck, I mean those that are choosing a negative path so deeply. I'm not saying like your soul gets to go and your soul doesn't. No, I'm saying frequencies.
mhm.
I've never necessarily felt that my frequency was what I was working on too much. And I think that is true for you.
It's interesting you say that because I have felt that so many times, so recently too. I can see when somebody else is stuck, and it's like I just want to just pull them out of it because it's like
Hmm.
I know how. If they would just do this, if they would just it's like you can see it, you just know. And
Of course.
it's hard to see them stay in that frequency.
Well, the benefits that we represent and anybody who holds a high heart frequency, a high heart and a coherent mind, right? Because that is our biggest problem sometimes is our heart will be here and our mind will say something else and there's no coherence. So our energy starts to essentially spout out of us. It's like a leak. Discoherence in our energy is like a leak. And we have so much energy. So we can really sustain a good life leaking out of like it's just crazy. So as we get our energy into coherence with our heart and our mind, it's not really a pulse, but that's almost how I want to say it because it's an active process, but it's not really pulsing. It's almost like it's proximity and awareness. So for me to come into an awareness of you, you hold within you whatever keys you've gathered in your life. And now if you go into the soul level, we have certain keys that are very unique if we would learn to use them. If we come from the state of potential, which not everyone does, it means that we have the we have the codes for that. We were there when the potential was there. So that's why we will be preyed on a lot of times. People will want us to create for them. They won't know it. They won't understand that in their soul, they're saying, she has the seed of creation. If I can get her to create for me, we'll be golden.
Mhm.
And so that's a very human thing. I'm not saying hate on it. If you saw somebody with the gate code out, what would you do? Gimme, 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 right?
Yeah.
So there's no hate, but people covet what they don't realize is we represent the keys. You still have to use them yourself. I can't give you my key.
Yeah.
I can't teach you my key, not really, because the key is in the frequency. We have a lot of healing that we do just by walking around. And it's because it unlocks keys for the higher self of the other individuals. And we will never know, and they will never know because it's not really important. But we're working on correcting sacred geometry. If everybody's frequency was like a crystalline structure and it's all supposed to be triangles, but we got squares here and we got a circle there, just by being in proximity, like wants to be like. And we all have the God fire in us.
Mhm.
So you have this opportunity to, if you spend enough time and frequency around, suddenly that circle just pops into being a triangle. And that's what they're showing me. They're just saying, oh, it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
didn't even
almost
know that
like
was it.
tuning your instrument.
It's yes. Well, you're so on part. The guides are with you.
Mhm.
They're with us right now because I just got so hot. It is really in spiritual work. It's called an attunement. And I used to think that was so dumb because I just thought it was a way for people to try to get your money. That was back before I was talking with the guides much, as I'm sure you can tell. I'm like, "What are you gonna do? Tune me?" Like, my pride. But no, it really is, and you were bringing attunement just by being you, by being in tune with yourself. And yeah, does it start to feel really good to be around you? Because every time I go near you, I'm reattuned? Yeah. So we have to sometimes guard our stuff, not because we don't wanna offer it to everybody, but it's different to just help people attune. It's another thing to come and have somebody reach in your energy and say, "Where's the key at? Give me the key."
Yes.
That's a different vibe. We've definitely dealt with that.
Yes, very different vibe.
And again, a frequency thing because it tickles me silly that people who know what we do and then they'll come with the sideways energy. And I'm like, dude, you're just insulting me because you're saying you don't think I can do it because you're trying to put one over me. And like, it's not even doesn't make me angry much more. It's just like, you don't believe I can do what I say I do then.
And that's okay. Move on. That's what
Well,
I say.
exactly. Well, see, and there's my vengeance. I'm like, "You think you can do what to me?" No, it's like Cardi B, "Do what to who?" No. So what's so funny is whenever you deal in one polar, you're so capable of the other. And, oh my gosh, like, my polarity is I'm such a fighter for what I believe is good. But imagine the inversion of fighting for what I want just because I want it. And I've done
Mm.
both over time. And I've shared this before on the podcast, I think, with Terry, but one of the reasons that there is a lifetime that's kept very close to me in energy in a very visual way, honestly, is I'm on top of these step pyramids, and down on each side are other step pyramids, and we are doing a massive expunging of blood to try and get what we want from something. And I remember I can feel it's running down my hands, and I am enjoying it, and I connected with somebody recently who actually has this exact same experience, and she mentioned, and I agree, there's memory of like, that was the best part.
Mhm.
And the reason that's always what was one of the first past lives that came into me when I was training under Terry before I was ever even serving anybody else, the public, with the work, it was like, "Why that? I'm not like that." And it's just that memory of, "No, you are.
Yeah.
You have been.
Yeah.
We got you out of it, and thank God you're not there anymore, but do not ever think that if you have the seed of creation in you and you've been bored at all, you've done it all, most likely." And a lot of that thank you. They're saying a lot of it is imagine being sought out every single lifetime. You're gonna fail some of them.
Yes.
So it's not even some of you they were saying, "Don't get it twisted in the sense of that you really, really sought it." Sometimes it's just a system of you have this test every single time, and you're gonna
Yes.
fail some of them.
Yes. And
But
I
we
think
didn't.
it's yeah, and I think it's recognizing that and not getting hung up on that.
Yeah. Oh god, no. What we do with our life force energy now has the potential to break or heal all other iterations. And if you have the consciousness in your body now to know that, it must mean that that consciousness is not currently in those other times right at this particular moment. So there is some good faith in that because basically the way that they're showing me is the flower of life.
Mhm.
It's all those rings, but they're showing it as though imagine that was in a D space to where each ring interlocked like the weird.
I drew this the other day. Here you go.
Why is that so perfect? That's gorgeous.
Because yeah.
Oh my god. Literally, oh, that's bizarre. I love that.
Mhm.
Well, so take that in your mind's eye, and now imagine each ring is like this,
Mhm.
and it's facing out all these different directions, and our consciousness is situated in the middle right now, but each ring is active, just not as potentially charged anymore because we're right here in the now. That is sort of why we're the most powerful iteration. So then you can get that's kinda why it's like, well, we put it in the perspective of past lives and forward lives, but really it's just that our consciousness is the nexus point, and all other things are spacing out in connection to that. And if
Mm.
you and I were talking in the consciousness point where we were Vikings, then that would be the new center of the rings. So the work that we did there would be the most important for the collective whole of us. But for all as we know, this is where we are.
This is yep.
And so that's why I say when people freak out and wake out about the past lives and the future lives and why does any of it matter? It's like, well, because your consciousness is here and it's like a film strip. So it's like, yeah, there's a photo there, but the light is only illuminating the scene for now. And then as the strip keeps going, it'll illuminate the next one, and that one will go dark.
Mhm.
So it's not that they don't matter. It's just that you have the highest potential of affecting all other ones in this right now because we're conscious right now. And I've never had that explained to me that way until just now. That's really cool.
I love that the way that it was explained. It makes
I
so
do
much
too.
sense.
And it's the guides, man. This is why, to anybody who really wants to understand like why the guides are so important, if you have a curious mind at all, because you will never have to go elsewhere for information. Not really. Yeah, you'll be exposed to certain things, but the harmonic of truth has that hum.
Mhm.
And sometimes I say stuff, I'm like, that might be right. But what I just said, that felt right, which I love. As we sort of, I feel like we've gone so crazy off topic, but I love it because we're really getting a chance to see how you and I work together, which I think is fantastic.
Mhm.
As you understand yourself to be developing strongholds for people, at some point soon, you will be offering readings for people. And I'm so excited. It's going to be wherever you choose, but also there will always be space for you at Terry and I's, the mini center.
Thank you.
So, as you think about your soul's purpose, what do you think you'll see a lot of in your clients?
I believe I will see a lot of clients that need and want healing,
Mhm.
want want peace, that have been through a lot
I
of
just heard quantum
pain.
healing.
Yeah, that have been through a lot of painful experiences. I believe it will be people that want healing.
I believe you might also have a lot of interesting work as a death doula. So that's something we can talk about. But I'm so grateful that DFW has somebody like you here, that you have the heart that you have the the heart and mind coherence that you have. It's so beautiful. When I met you before you had it, you just had to get through some life things. And so it's been so fun to see all of those layers of the material unfold in the appropriate ways so that once you were done with that, you could just be like, all right, let's rock and roll. It's
Yep.
time.
Let's go.
Yay! Well, I will see you in class as soon as I hit stop because we are going to be doing that. But thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. I'm so grateful. And
Thank
we
you.
will be seeing more of you, I'm sure.
Thank you. I'm grateful
Thank
for you
you.
too. Thank you for having
Yay!
me.
I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.